There I am.
Hello, Brian.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. Very nice to talk with you.
Very nice to talk with you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, my
Um,
pleasure. Thanks for having us.
I'll make a small intro in Portuguese, then we start the interview, okay?
Oh, this is in Portuguese?
No,
Of course
no.
it is.
Just the intro for the people who is
Okay,
watching now,
super.
ok? Bom, nós estamos aqui com o Brian Malouf. Ele é um engenheiro de som, faz mixagem para muita gente interessante. É um cara que tem mais de 50 discos de platina, de ouro, platina dupla. É um cara importantíssimo na indústria musical. E ele vai falar com a gente sobre a carreira e também sobre a Duke, que é uma plataforma que ele está lançando e está chegando agora ao Brasil. Tá bom? Brian, I want to start talking about your career, né? You were a drummer and a classical percussionist before. How did you become a producer?
So, as a musician, after I decided I didn't want to be a classical percussionist anymore, I formed a band. And in that band, I was the guy who was interested in the electronics, the sound reinforcement, the PA system, the microphones, the
Mhm.
amplifiers, the boards, and I became sort of an expert in that area. And then when we started writing our own original songs, which we started right away, actually, I became the producer of the band. I had all the
Mhm.
recording equipment. I had my garage done as a studio, and I sort of learned by reading books and by there was no YouTube obviously at that time, so I read books, I asked questions of other friends of mine, and I became the de facto producer of my band.
Okay.
And so that's how it all started for me. And at some point, well, exactly in 1980, I stopped playing the drums altogether
Mm.
and started my career as an engineer in earnest. So to do that, I became a live sound engineer, and I rented out PA systems to
Mhm.
nightclubs in Los Angeles and to local bands. So every night I would go to one of the places where one of my PAs was installed or being used. I had three systems,
Oh.
and I would work the sound at night. And during the day, I had an internship, an apprenticeship at a place called El Dorado Recording Studios, which was right across the street from Capitol Recording
Mhm.
Studios in Hollywood. And Capitol Studios is where we just were with our first Juki winner, Gina Brooklyn. 2 weeks ago, we did 2 days at Capitol, right across the street from the place I started my career, and recorded a brand new song of Gina's as the winner of our first song contest, the Juki Music Awards.
Okay. Um, you said in an interview that you played in a cover band, and that was a learning for you.
Yes,
Why?
because along with being the producer of my band, we all took turns arranging the top 40 songs we would cover.
Well,
So I in that period of 5 years, I probably transcribed 150 pop songs, right? So I would have the record, I would drop the needle, I'd use my ears, I had a piano, and I would copy all the parts that the musicians on the record were playing. And in doing so, it was a massive education in how pop songs are constructed and how they're made and how they're arranged. And it was better than college. I was out of college by
Mhm.
then, but that experience of transcribing all of those recordings kind of gave me a deep understanding of how pop music, why it sounds the way it sounds, and how it's arranged.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a great.
Yeah.
It's really the foundation of everything I've done since.
Hmm. And you work as active in record labels in RCA. You always and also as A&R.
Mm-hmm.
How this experience is useful to your work today?
The thing that I feel like enhanced how I work in the studio about being an executive was I got to experience the feeling that executives have when they're listening to a new song or a new version, a finished version of a song that they knew already. And they're very expectant, right? They're
Mhm.
really hoping to be blown away. They're hoping that whatever comes out of the speakers just grabs them by the throat or by the shoulders and shakes them and goes, "Listen to me." And so, being looking at music from that side of the desk, so to speak, I began to incorporate that feeling, the desire to make people feel that way while I produce and while I mix. I'm always, I'm trying to gauge how people in that room are going to react to whatever's being played of mine. So I think it's made me a bit more aware of energy that the music has to achieve coming out of the speakers, and aggressiveness maybe,
Mhm.
and just overall emotional impact. Because I often talk about people who listen to music in postures, like what posture are people in when they're listening to music. So if you're home and you're listening to music for pleasure, you might have a glass of wine and you might be
Mhm.
kicked back listening and just. But when you're judging music, right? When you're in position of somebody who's maybe thinking of signing you as an artist, and you're ready to be, kind of taken over by the music. You're listening to it like a baseball player at shortstop, right? You're ready. Like you're not relaxed at all. You're ready for a hard ground ball to hit you in the shins if you don't catch it. So people listen to music in different postures, and I try to make sure that the person listening with the high expectations is satisfied.
Great. You went through these companies in the golden age of record companies.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what's the role of the major nowadays?
I still think major labels have a significant role primarily for pop artists or artists who are making music that can cross over to pop from other genres. I also think that they provide a team. It's a bit like coming in from out of the cold if you're signed to a label. And by the way, that's what we're also evolving into with Juki. We're evolving into a label that provides a team for certain artists, select artists on our platform. And that team can take care of so many of the burdens of the business of music, so that the artist can take care of the real important stuff, which is the creation of music, the writing.
Mhm.
I've been working with a band out of Utah, and when I first met those guys, I asked, "So who's the main songwriter in the band?" And the lead singer rose his hand. And I said, "Well, who does your social media?" And the lead singer rose his hand. "Who does your merchandise? Who made it?" Well, and the same guy, the one guy in the band kept raising his hand as he was the one doing all the work. I said, "You guys, you got to spread it out.
Mhm.
He should be doing nothing but writing songs, and you guys who aren't writing should be doing the marketing and the t-shirts and the social media interaction." So a label or a team of people, a manager, maybe a tour manager, these kinds of people have to support the artist so
Mhm.
that the artist can take care of the full-time job of writing songs. And you got to write 100 songs to get two that you love sometimes,
Mhm.
and it's a full-time gig.
Oh, perfect. And today you are an independent producer. It's better for your life to work this way.
Yeah, it's been great. I got out of the executive suite in about 2012, I think, and kind of went back to my roots as a producer and mixer. By the way, I'm primarily a mixer. I do maybe 4 to 6 productions a year, maybe more these days, maybe 8. But I really kind of made my bones as a mixer in the industry, and then of course as an executive, and now as an executive at Juki. So there are pluses and minuses to uh, both roles. You know, when you're in a corporate job, you get to take vacations and you still get paid. You get to have a support staff. Well, I have a support staff now as well. You get to have a support staff that helps you with the day-to-day machinations of your job. But when you're independent, you're really independent. You make your own schedule. You don't have to show up for work. But when you do take a vacation with your family, you're not getting paid. And there's a certain comfort to being in a corporation, but much more freedom when creative freedom and corporate freedom when you're on your own, you know. And I enjoy that, and I love making music. I mean, I just literally, I probably do it for free if I wasn't lucky enough to get paid to do it. I love it so much.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions before we talk about Juki.
Okay.
The first one is, with these technological facilities, many artists prefer to record in their home studios and mix as well. Do you think that this could lead a drop in the quality of the songs released?
I do not. And if anything, it might have improved because people can spend more time crafting their songs. Well, I work with independent artists all the time. I do maybe half and half label, half indie. And when songs come into me now to mix, oftentimes I put it up on my console here, and I press play, and I'm listening to the speakers. I'm going, gosh, that sounds perfect. I don't. How am I going to make that better? You know, because people have learned how to use their DAWs, and they have spent hours and hours and hours doing minute improvements and balances, and it all sounds really good by the time it gets to me. Where I feel like people who are recording at home and who have, you know, basically maybe learned how to use their digital audio workstation from YouTube videos and instructional videos that the manufacturers put out, is they're not quite yet good at blending the live performances in the vocals. I always can improve the vocals and the background vocals and how they're blending with themselves and with the track and with the lead vocal. And that's how I get the music to sound more releasable as masters, is I pick up where the artist and the artist producer leaves off with the vocal production. That's where, and I'm basically maybe getting 10 or 15% more out of the track than when it got to me. And it generally makes people happy if I leave their track alone and let that sound the way it sounded and just make the vocals sound better.
Okay, and what's your tip for the people who's recording demos?
Let's just take vocals for example. People record acoustic guitars. There's lots of live performances that go into productions, but for vocals, I want you to start with a really good microphone. So let's say you have a budget of €1,000, right, for your vocal chain. I call it a vocal chain is a microphone preamp, and some sort of compressor limiter. Basically, that's what's going to get your vocal on, I'll say, tape. To get your vocal on tape, you need those 3 things. Spend $400 on the microphone, $350 on the preamp, and $250 on the compressor if you have a budget of $1,000. I said dollars, but I started with euros, so I'm confused. But you know what I'm saying. So make sure the mic is the highest quality, and then follow that microphone with quality similar to where the microphone is. Don't record too hot, right? Don't over compress your vocal. Leave it open and able to record the dynamics of your singing voice, and sing maybe this far away from the microphone's diaphragm. Do many takes. Do at least 5 and up to 20 takes, and do it line by line after you get a few passes all the way through, and really focus on changing the attitude to suit the emotion of the song. I once was talking to a movie director, and I asked her how does she direct her movies, and she said, well, I usually do 3 takes of every scene, and I do 1 cool, 1 warm, and 1 hot. And then in the editing room, I figure out which take and which portion of which take makes for the best scene. And I thought, wow, that's a really great idea. And so when I do vocals now, right, I'm doing 20 passes of the vocal. I'm doing it line by line. And I ask the singer to sing with cool, warm, and then hot emotion. And then later, after they've left the studio, I sit down with all 20 takes, and I choose the right emotional temperature for each individual syllable sometimes, not just the word or the line, but I choose syllable by syllable how to put the vocal together. And that seems to be a really good technique for me.
Well, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the juke. How the idea of juke came about?
Well, Andre Jakovsky, Dashkovsky. I always have trouble with his last name. Andre and I worked together years ago on another startup called Yaunk. We were introduced by Don Grierson, who was a friend of mine and who was their kind of U.S. A&R guy. Don tragically and suddenly passed away about 2 years ago. And we all sort of like took a minute, and it was rather devastating, frankly. And I guess from the ashes of that, we regrouped. We formed Juki to expand on the idea of Yaunk, which was a platform for singers and songwriters all over the globe, from small little villages and towns to big cities, to allow them to present their music to what we called our music community. And Juki has kind of doubled down on that concept. Our message is that we want to hear the stories from the villages and towns that normally aren't on the map for a lot of music aficionados or music fans, and have a place to quickly and easily and for free upload their songs onto our platform, where we have, I think right now, almost 83,000 active music fans who are listening and using our platform every day to discover new music. And they get a chance to get recognized by all those fans. You know, we have this nomination process. So far in the history of our company, we've had like almost 1,800 songs from the, what did I say? I think almost 12,000 total. 1,800 of those songs have been recognized by the community as being a cut above.
Okay.
As those songs go higher and higher in recommendations, and what we use votes basically to count how much people like songs, they go up and up the charts until they get to a place in the end of we have 4 seasons of song contest. And towards the end of each season, there are 20 or 25 or so songs that have reached, all the way to the top of our charts. And then we go through a final round, and prizes are given out. That's how we attracted people to our platform. We're giving away substantial prizes to songs that do well on our platform. And then the next step is to help the artists get an even larger audience by promoting and marketing those artists that rise to the top more broadly.
Okay, great. It's not only the recording the music in professional studios. There are some counseling after this.
There's counseling, like when we had Gina here. So there's a $10,000 cash prize for
Wow.
the winner, 5,000 for the silver, and I think it's 2,000 for the gold, or 25. I think it's 2,000 for the gold. So so they get the cash right away. COVID, of course, happened as we were launching the song contest. So Gina actually won last June, but it wasn't safe for her to fly here until last month. So we just have finished her prize and her total prize by recording a new song of hers at Capitol with 4 really top-notch LA studio musicians. I was behind the desk, and it just came out beautifully. So there's the recording experience, and while Gina was in Los Angeles, again, people still aren't really taking face-to-face meetings, but I had her on Zoom with several executives who kind of mentored her and answered her questions about how the business works. She met 2 A&R people from major labels, one from Atlantic and one from Hollywood. And, just kind of immersing her in the business side of her art. And of course, they have me to talk to whenever they want. Right now, our second contest winner and I are making plans to bring he and part of his band to Los Angeles to record. And I'm also setting up writing sessions for him with some of our best songwriters here in LA, so that we really have a great song to record when he gets here. And so in that way, we're also at Juki, we're trying to raise up the quality of the winners on our platform, and then eventually, in a few months' time, we're going to offer those kinds of benefits to anybody on our platform, to where they can, have access to me and to other professionals like me for mentoring and for help kind of bringing their songs and their productions up to higher and higher levels.
That's excellent, especially in these pandemic times. It's a great opportunity for the musicians to showcase these songs. I think that's really great. It's really kind from you to do this. And I want to ask you another thing, because I think that is not so important for the musicians, but also is an incentive to the listeners as well. Because I think that a Hunter Heat, for example, may have a more critical view and a passion for music. Is there such an intention on this?
Well, you're setting me up for my favorite part of this, because as a former A&R person, I know there are a lot of people out there that consider themselves arbiters of good taste, and A&R people themselves. So our platform not only kind of serves the artists, and artists can win prizes and win money and stuff, but we have a segment of our platform called Hit Hunters.
Yes.
And it's for people who aren't songwriters or singers or musicians. They're for people who are fans. And the contest goes like this. Every week, basically every day actually, new songs appear on our platform. People who want to really involve themselves in the music that's on our platform are listening to all these songs. And there are a totally separate part of the voting process have points that they can assign to songs that they think are going to get the most attention on our platform. So they're seeking out hit songs, basically, which are the ones that get the most attention, before other people have a chance to really vote on them. And so I think it's either every month. I should ask my staff here. Is the Hit Hunter Award given every week or every month? Are you guys still with me? Oh, they might have signed off. Oh, no, Olga's still there. Olga, is it every month or is it every week? So sorry, I'm the music guy.
No,
I'm
no
not the
problem.
contest guy.
No
But
problem.
basically, there's $1,000 prize regularly for
Mm-hmm.
the person who, in an A&R capacity, A&R stands for Artists and Repertoire. It's the people that sign bands and artists to labels. In an A&R capacity, have predicted the songs that are going to rise to the top, and those people are kind of having this fun game of trying to figure out how music is going to be received by the rest of the community,
Mm-hmm.
and they're rewarded for that. It's a really fun way to involve not only music creators but music fans in our platform. So
That's amazing.
it's getting really popular, that Hit Hunters
Yeah.
program. It's fun. Yeah.
And Brian, Joke is
Brian, it's
arriving.
every week.
It's every week,
Brian,
$1,000 every week
Great.
for a Hit Hunter. Thanks, Olga.
And Joke is arriving here in Brazil. What do you expect of the musicians of our country?
I'm gonna get some. I'm hoping to get some great bossa nova stuff, some great rap stuff, and some really, Brazilian melodies hold a really special place in the pantheon of music history. Brazilian melodies from the '60s to now are super catchy, brilliant. The rhythms and the percussion instruments in South America, particularly in Brazil, have become a really important part of my life. I was a percussionist, so I learned all the
Mm-hmm.
rhythms and all the different grooves and beats that are classic beats. The bossa, the samba, all of the different ones. And I'm expecting to get a whole lot of action
Yes.
from the music community in Brazil, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
Yes. I've got two final questions for you.
Sure.
You have worked with big names like Madonna, Stevie Wonder, Pearl Jam, David Bowie. Uh, could you name your biggest highlight in your career?
So uh, that's a question that I answer in the following way: that I get the most excitement and the most joy from the artists I'm working on right now. They're not famous yet, but
Mm-hmm.
that's my true passion and my true joy. I had some really wonderful experiences all through my life, and I've been doing it for 40 years now, so it's a long way to stretch back in time. But I'll never forget, meeting Michael Jackson in 1983. In the summer of 1983, Thriller had just been released a month or two before that, and he was already a big star. But at that particular moment in time, the moment I met him, he was the biggest pop star on the planet. And there he was sitting right next to me, talking to me like any other guy. And that was thrilling in and of itself. And then when he asked me to work on his next album project with him, the circumstance, by the way, of that was his whole family was in my studio, and they were recording the Victory album.
Yes.
And so he was part of a group as I met him, but after about a week or two, he took me aside and asked if I'd come back after the brothers left, come back at 8 o'clock that night, and start working on his next project. And that was certainly a dream come true for me, and it really did kickstart my career, as an engineer mixer. Yeah.
That's great. And the final question, what's your advice for who wants to follow your footsteps?
To go do the job. If you're an engineer or a musician who wants to become a producer, produce. Find a band, produce your own band. Find 3 bands in your city or your area, and say, hey, for free, I'm going to produce for you. I'm not asking for any money yet. I want to help you. I want to produce your record. Do the job. If you want to become an A&R person, do the job, do the research, listen to new music, go to clubs when they open up again, and listen to bands as they play live, and find a project or 2 or 3 that you're passionate about, and do the work. Pretty soon, somebody's going to notice, somebody who can help you, somebody who can guide you and probably give you a job if you're good at it. And so my advice is always to do the work before you're getting paid to do the work or before you've been asked to do the work. Go out and find it for yourself.
Okay. Brian, I want to thank you so much for this interview. It's a pleasure to hear you to talk about music with all this passion. It's amazing. It's beautiful. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure meeting you and speaking with you. And you ask great questions, and you seem like a really great soul. So it's really a pleasure to talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.